Hello everybody and welcome back. I'm Jem. Thank you for joining me in my creative space today. Alright, I have been having a big clear out and I've sorted out a whole load of my drawers. As you will see here on the table, I have piles of different things. So as this says, these are all bookmarks. I've got a pile of plain tags here. I've got a sort of an odds and ends pile here. These are old beer coasters, some cards which haven't printed very well. I've got a pile of clothing tags or tags off products that have been purchased. And I've also got a pile of old business cards that are no longer needed. So I'm going to tell you a bit about what I'm doing, because I'm going to start with those today. I'm going to put the rest to the side. And I've also got a pile of book pages. Now, some of these are, gosh, I'm not even sure what language that is. So some of these are foreign language, some of them are English, and I've got some small music paper as well. So, as I said, I'm going to tell you what I'm doing as I'm working. I'm going to grab my Mod Podge. And what I'm going to do, this is a bit of a mass make. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste a book page, and I'm going to stick a whole load of business cards on there. Now, why am I doing this, you might ask? Well, there's a few things going, there's a few hashtags around at the moment. The first one is Mass Make March 2026. And I've been struggling to find out who actually started this hashtag. But some of the channels that I follow that are participating in this are Crafty by Tony, Seven Plaza, and also Annie at My Creative Detour. And the idea for Mass Make March is really what it says. It's about getting a whole load of stuff together and doing some mass making. And that's exactly what I'm doing today. Now, the other couple of hashtags that I've been inspired by are Find My Floor, which is, it's two channels that I think have started this, and it's Scrap Brat and Candy at Candy's Crafty Creations. And the idea of Find My Floor is actually having a really good clear up in your creative space. And actually rearranging so that you can find the things that you have. And the other thing that ties in really nicely with that is the hashtag Using What I Own. And I believe this has been started by Deb at the Creative Book Shack. And I will link all those channels below and all those hashtags so that you can go and have a look and see what other people are doing. But anyway, the idea of the last one, Using What I Own, is basically what it says. It is about using up exactly what you have. And you know what? I thought those three things go together so well. Have a clear up so that you can find what you've got, use what you've got, and use it to do some mass making. So as you will see, I'm using up some of these old business cards, and these actually came from my office. I had a really good clear up in my office a couple of weeks ago, and when you run a business, you do tend to collect business cards from other people, and these are all ones that I've sorted out that I don't actually need, Now I'm just moving that because I don't want too much of that white to be showing around the edge. Yeah, these are all ones that I just don't need anymore. Either they are businesses or companies that you know, we don't use, or they are people that we have the contact details for elsewhere. So that's what I'm doing. So I thought it was a really good opportunity because, as I say, I cleared out my drawers where I keep. And look, you know what? Things like tags off clothing and off things that you buy, my family save for me as well. So I do tend to end up with quite a lot of them. The same with bookmarks and things. So I've got all this stuff piled into drawers. It all needed sorting out. And I thought that this was just a really good opportunity to get some mass makes done. And it, you know, I've never really thought that I liked mass making until I took part in ephemera this year, last year, end of last year. And the theme for that challenge was compartmental making, which I'm still not sure about the the difference between compartmental making and mass making. Anyway, I really enjoyed that challenge, and I still have lots of ephemera left from it. And in fact, next month I'm going to be filling another journal with some of the ephemera from that challenge. So I thought this was a really good opportunity the rest of this month to join in with those hashtags that I've mentioned and build up a bit of a stash of things, and in the process have a really good clear up. Now you'll see I was trying to get these the other way round so that I've got some with writing that goes the other way, and I know those two are hanging off the end, and that's going to be okay. So I'm going to do, what have I got? You see already this is so quick. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 6 sheets already. So let's do some in music paper. Now I've deliberately picked a music paper that the print is quite small, and because these cards are obviously not the biggest. In fact, I did measure them the other day, and I think off the top of my head they're about 3 inches by 2 1/8. Let me have a quick look for you. They're standard business card size. Oh, 3 1/2, 2 1/8, round about there. For those of you who work in metric, that's about 5 1/2 by 9. So they're not massive. But I do think there's quite a lot of things you can do with them. So as I say, for this mass make, I'm just going to be using the book pages and the music page. I'm going to see what we can do with them. I'm actually going to look that one. I'll go that way. Now, as I'm going through these, I'm pulling. Look, this one has just got such a beautiful picture on. This is a photography business card. Anything that's really lovely like that, I'm hanging on to separately, because I will use them in a different way. Right, I'm going to finish off another couple of sheets of the music paper, and then we'll come back and I'll show you what I'm going to do next. Alright guys, these cards are semi-dry, so I've been cutting them up. So what we've got now is cards with music page or book page on one side, and the other side is still the original business card. Now, I was cutting them up. I think I have come across a happy accident. Let me show you. Some of the cards I'd stuck in a row like this with just a little bit of space between them. And I was cutting the excess paper off like this, all the way around the edge. And my plan was then to cut in the middle as well and separate them. However, watch. Look, wouldn't that make a lovely little fold out, flip out? You could put pockets on it, all sorts of things. So I'm going to leave a couple like this because I think this could be exciting and it would be something a bit different. I mean, if you haven't got business cards, you can cut pieces of scrap card, whatever you've got, scrapbook paper. But anyway, I'm going to leave a couple like that because I think that's quite interesting. So I'll just do the rest of these, and then I'll come back and we'll see what I'm going to do next. Okay folks, I've separated all of those. So these are just one-sided. I've left one that's a double, and then I've got 3 here that are triple folds. And as I say, that wasn't planned. That was a bit of a happy accident, just how they stuck onto the paper, onto the book page. So there we go. All right, the next step, there's my other triple one. My next step is just as simple. I've got the remains of my book pages. I've also pulled out a couple of pieces of coffee dyed paper. So some of them I'm going to back again with more book page or music page. Some I'm going to back with the coffee dyed paper. So I'm just going to do exactly the same. Start with a sheet of paper, glue all over it, and then put my cards on. And because I haven't got like the margins, if you like, on the coffee dyed paper, I'm actually going to put, oh, don't want to do that way, that way. I'm actually going to put things right up to the edge there. So let's go through and get all of those done. Okay, I actually ran out of time yesterday, so these have dried overnight now, and as you will see, I've separated them into 3 piles. This is my pile of triple and double folds, so I'm going to put those to the side for a moment. This is my pile where there is writing or music paper, so book page or music paper on both sides. Okay, and this is my pile where there's book page or music paper on one side, and then on the other side is the coffee dyed paper. So I'm going to start off by working on the ones that are double-sided with book page and music paper. And my basic idea is that these I'm going to turn into tags, and these that have the coffee dyed paper on the back I'm going to turn into journal cards. Now, I don't know how much I'm going to be able to get done in the one video today, but I do want to make a start on these tags and just show you the process I'm going to go through with these. So I have an old card here, and you will see I've cut off 3 of the corners at different angles. So this is a very small one, this is slightly bigger, and this is quite a big one. what I wanted to do was just to see if I used that biggest one, how much, you know, what the tag shape would look like. And that's why I've drawn those pencil lines on there, because I didn't want it to be too pointed. So if you're using a card like this, it's really easy. You line up your side and your top, and then you cut, and then you flip it over, line up your side and your top, and cut. Now, as you will see, that gives quite what I call a pointy tag. And if I use the other side, the other corner, which is not such a big, you know, it's going to take off a smaller corner. So line it up, flip it over. And you can do this with anything. If you don't have an old card, don't panic. Just use a piece of paper, a piece of, you know, yeah, or paper or card, anything that you want to will make a template. So you can see that's the difference. Depending how much we take off, we get different shaped tags. So, oh, excuse me. In the spirit of mass making, I'm going to make my way through this pile, and I'm going to cut the corners off, and I'm going to do a variety. I'm going to do some what I call, as I say, the pointy tags, and some with the not so pointy tags, not so pointy tops. All right, I finished my phone call, and I've also finished cutting off the corners of those tags. You will see I've got 5 with the smaller corners cut off and 5 of the pointy tags. Now I'm going to put those to one side for a moment, because they're, I mean, basically, if you could leave them like that, that's a mass make. You've got the basis of 10 tags there ready to go. But I am going to do something else with them later today. But just as before I do, I'm going to move on, and I'm going to look at these. Now, these have the coffee dyed paper on the back, and I want to use these as journal cards. Now, in some ways, so I'm looking for my corner rounder as I talk to you. In some ways, I could just leave these like this, but I quite like round corners on journal cards. I personally feel that it helps them slide into the pockets easier. So I'm going to quickly go through, and I'm going to round the corners on these, and I'm going to do them different sizes for some variety. So I do that, and then we'll come back. Now, before I go, now one of the reasons I'm going to do this, do you know my corner rounder does not like multiple layers. I'll stick that back down in a minute. One of the reasons that I'm doing all this prep first before I start decorating is that I want to be able to decorate tags and journaling cards at the same time, because I don't want all the tags looking like one thing and all the journaling cards looking like another. Does that make sense? It would be quite nice if some of them went together. Maybe that's what I'm saying. Is that one too small? Maybe it is. Let's go a little bit bigger. All right, look, I'm going to finish these off. Ooh. I'm going to finish these off, and then I'll come back and we'll have a quick look at these flippy floppy ones as well. All right, that's a stack of those done. So I'll put those to the side with the tags. Now, I wanted just to show you this last one, because what do you do if you haven't got a corner rounder? Well, again, you can make yourself a template, but also, you know, corners don't have to be round. And if I show you with the tiny corner on this card, which I use as my template, you will see that you can make a great journaling card, not with round corners, but just with the tiniest little bit snipped off. And again, sometimes these cards come with round edges, and you can use those as well. But there you go. Look, great journaling card, just with the corners snipped off. Okay, all right. So before I look at the ones we've got folded, I'm going to decorate just a couple journaling cards and a couple of the tags on camera, just to show you what I'm going to do with them, really. And then I will do the rest off camera. So let's grab, yep, those two, and those two. So we've got a couple of different ones, and I grabbed this one to show you what I'm going to do if there's a little bit here that's missed the edge of the book page. All right, so let's have a look now. As I say, right now I want to keep these fairly neutral. I've got a pile of bits and pieces here, which are the ones that I've sort of come across as I've been sorting through my drawers. And I've also got, I have a pile of these boxes. You can see they're quite cool. They've got little clear lids, and each of them, I've got each of them with different things in. So I've got stamps. This one has a floral theme, and I've got others that tickets, butterflies, etc. So I've got those to hand as well. Alright guys, you'll see I was quite indecisive today. But you know, that's given you a little bit of an idea for the journaling cards and for the tags. That's what I did with the one that the paper didn't go quite to the bottom. I just wrapped a piece of washi tape all the way around. And as you can see, I'm just using up my bits and pieces, what I have on my desk, in my boxes. And you know, you'd be surprised what you can create with what you have. As I say, I've kept all these reasonably neutral. If anything, I would say they're sort of a vintagey theme, which is something I tend towards, I think. I have sort of, it's quite interesting, I have kind of two different styles or genres, if you like. One is much more vintage, the other's completely different, and it's probably best described as kind of gothic or Wiccan. Sometimes gets quite dark, and you know, I don't often put videos of that stuff up. Maybe I should, but anyway, look, these are the ones I've done at the moment. I will carry on and do the rest of those tags, and hopefully just show you at the end some of the others that I've done. But whilst everything is out and my desk is starting to look a little bit of a mess, I've had an idea for one of these trifolds. I've chosen one with writing on both sides. You know, what do you call it? Book page. Oh, do you know, my brain's gone today. I'm going to round the corners. Ooh. There we go. And of course that corner didn't round. There's always one, isn't there? Right. I'm going to put a little bit of glue on that while I remember. There we go. Now, I want to imagine that closing like that, opening like this. This is a piece of that coffee dyed paper I have, and I don't know how big that is really. It was just a scrap that was on my desk. What I've done is I've folded it to be a little bit shorter than this, and then I've folded it in 3 so that it fits in that back bit there. Now, what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to glue. I might use just my slightly stronger glue. Do you know, I bought these bottles in a dollar store, and they're okay, but they're not as good as the needle nose ones. I have ordered some more of the little needle nose ones, and I'm waiting for them to arrive at the moment. I couldn't find any locally. These ones come out just a little bit too quickly sometimes. All right, so I've just glued that bit there, and I'm going to stick that like that. And my idea is, when you open this up, you imagine this is in a journal, in a pocket maybe, or under a belly band. What you're then going to have, oh, if we don't stick it the wrong bits down, is a whole piece that you can open up as sort of secret journaling space, and it will all fold back down again like that. So that's cool. What I want to do is a little bit of decoration on this and a closure. So I've been cutting circles, and as I was going through my you know, bits and pieces the other day, I found some things that, you know, were nice, but would I use them? For example, these. And this was I think it must have been a printable. It came in a pack I bought in an op shop. It was a whole sheet, I think, of printable tags. Now, I mean, these are cute, and some of them, like this one, I perhaps potentially would use as a base and add some other bits on, but there's others that I probably wouldn't. But if you have things like this, and you've got a circle punch, grab your circle punch and use it as a viewfinder. So I'm going to have a look. I'm going to find that butterfly. Look, you've got a great little embellishment, circle embellishment to use, and you can do it with things that you perhaps wouldn't necessarily think of. There, look, you've got some flowers coming down, and just as I say, use your circle punch as a viewfinder. For this, we can get some lovely roses. Oh, the peonies, not sure. There you go. Look at those. So go through things like this, something that you might not necessarily use otherwise. You can cut some circles out. I have a smaller circle punch as well that would go in there. The other thing I just wanted to show you, and I kept this came from a magazine, and I thought, gosh, look at all those lovely colours on there. But you can do the same thing with your circle punch. So this piece, all right, I could cut that out and use it, but look what happens when you punch circles out of something like that. You have this gorgeous little piece that you can use. Let's do another one. Let's do this gorgeous blue here. Look at that. Let me show you some others that I've done, just because, as I say, sort of you'll find big areas of pattern and things that you might not necessarily otherwise use, but when you cut them out into circles, they're really attractive. You see those? Yeah. So when you're going through your scraps, don't throw stuff away, is what I'm saying. Think about how you can use it. And this is, honestly, this is something you can sit in front of the TV and do. And you just kind of, you know, move your hole punch around, have a look through it, use it as a viewfinder. You might find that you have to cut a piece out here to slide your punch in. So for example, if I just cut across there, there's actually a little tiger on there, so I won't throw that away. But look, you've got this lovely sort of strawberry tree. Where's it gone? A little pokey thing to get it out. Look at that. You could use these for anything, buttons, whatever. So yeah, I've been going, that's why these cards are in the box. I've been going through them, taking off the cute sayings, and then punching all the circles out, and I've got loads. But anyway, let's have a look and see what I want to use on the front of here, because I want to make a closure. And again, I do want to keep it quiet. I want to keep this quite neutral. But you can layer these, look, that's my smaller punch. In fact, that's quite nice. There's some little daisies on there on a fairly neutral background. So let's put all those back in. hopefully you were able to follow most of the construction of that. And let me just show you, because I have added another couple of things in. You've got a little pocket here and a tuck spot there, and then we open this up. I popped the other half of that flower, and of course our lovely hidden journaling space opens out from the middle. You can close that up, and this can be popped into a pocket or a tuck spot in the journal or under a belly band. There you go. All right, I've completed another couple of tags and journaling cards as well, so let's have a look. I don't have time to do all of them today, but what this gives me is a few that are finished or almost finished, and then a whole stack of the bases which I can carry on working on, and I can do one or two at a time when time allows. So that's what we've done today. I hope that's been useful. This is you know, a mass make. It's using what I own, and it's also helping me to find my floor. So I hope that's been fun to watch. I am aiming to be back at the weekend with something a little bit different. We will see how time goes, but for now, thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you soon. Until then, stay safe, happy crafting. Ka kite anō.